Good morning. Coffee chat with Ann Payton. And we had such a great time with Samantha Tishner last week. And she has so much experience and knowledge and stories that we needed to do part two. So thank you for tuning in again. I know you will get value from this. And thank you so much, Samantha, for coming back. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
Well, wonderful. And we are going to start. We didn't have a chance to talk about your books last time, so I would like to have you tell us about your first book.
Okay, great. Well, my first book is called Heal First, Love Second, and it's the necessary steps for healing after divorce. So, if you would have told me, 6 or 7 years ago, Sam, you're going to write a book, I would have said, nope, I don't see that happening. But um, there was one day, through my journey, and like I shared during our talk last time, I was going through my second divorce. And of course, during that time, I turned to God. It's like, okay, God, I'm in this mess. Help me get out of it, which is how I've typically lived my life and my relationship with God. But during my second divorce, it was a time that I realized I was the common denominator in both of these divorces. So I really needed to figure out what it was, why I was stuck in this pattern, why I was selecting the men that I had selected, what was there, what kept me stuck. And so I spent a lot of time in meditation and prayer just to try and get in touch with me inside. And there was one day that I was actually driving along. And when I drive, I like to listen to, inspirational stuff, stuff that really lifts me up, whether it's books, it's podcasts, it's music, whatever kind of hits me that day. And there was one day I was driving and I just got this overwhelming feeling of, you need to write a book. This is what the title's going to be. And these are 8 chapters that you're going to
Why?
touch on. It was
That's
something that was so overwhelming that I actually pulled my car over and wrote it down. And
good
it's
for
like,
you.
okay, well, I've I don't even know where to begin on books. I've never thought of or wanted to or had the desire to write a book. So
Wow.
I went home, and within a couple of days, I just kind of I had an old picture frame, and it didn't have a picture in it. It was like an 8 by 10. And so I put sticky notes in it of, okay, this is the title. And then those chapters that I had, I kind of put sticky notes in order that those are the chapters. That way, so I had a visual because I like to have visuals.
Mhm.
And I hung that on my wall, and it hung there for a year. And I just kept looking at it. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I just don't know what to do with this. And it was in January of 2019. Something just clicked. It's like, okay, I can begin. I somewhat know. And so I set out a schedule and started writing based on the different things that those chapters that came to me, the titles, and then some of the other things that I had blogged about in the past. It's like everything just started coming together. I published in October of 2019. And,
Oh, that's good.
it was actually a total God thing that he even gave me the vision. And then, when the time came, and we were talking about this just before we got on the call, there are times that, you sit down and you're like, okay, I got to do this. And you sit down and start doing it, and it just doesn't come to you. It just doesn't flow. It is such a struggle. I know it's a God thing when I sit down and things just flow easily. And I'm not saying that I didn't have challenges writing the book. I mean, first time writing a book, first time really thinking of, I'm going to do something, publish it and get it out. Um, it was an incredible experience. But when I knew that the timing was right, it really flowed. And this book is very near and dear to my heart. It has some life experiences in it. But the way that I structured each chapter is, in the beginning, there's a short story. And this is a story that's just wrote. It's just written. It's just written about her, no names. It's just her. And I wanted to write it in that perspective because I didn't want somebody to read it. Oh, Sally. Oh, yeah, Sally. And you kind of connect it to a person. So I wrote it in the perspective of just her and how she felt, because I felt that that would help somebody connect with, oh yeah, I'm the her. I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm this story. And I've actually had many women who have read it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I connect to this. You know, it's not my exact story, but I connect to this. I've been through something similar. I've had those feelings." And so it's a story to be able to, kind of connect to that emotion or that situation that many women have had in their life. And then I talk through like the healing moment, like what can we take from that situation? Because one of the things that I have learned, you can't control somebody else. In a marriage, you can't control the other person. You can't manipulate or shame or whatever that may be. I went through, it was during my second marriage. There were times that I would say ugly things to try and motivate and inspire. Just saying something like, well, if you would have done this, da 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 da, or you should really do. And it would come out something so ugly, and thinking that maybe it would
Mm.
motivate and inspire change. Note to self, that doesn't happen. Saying something ugly does not motivate or inspire.
We all
Uh,
try that, don't we? That's
we
something we all
do, we
try.
do. And it's like, why would you
Mm.
even do that? But I
Mhm.
was becoming, I was becoming somebody that I did not like. And so I do everything in my power to make sure I stop myself. But it's going through and trying to look at the situation. I can't control somebody else, but I can control how I handle something, how
Mhm.
I process something, how I deal with something. So, if there is an argument or a fight, or if somebody says something to me that I take as, hurtful, it's okay. How can I process that? How can I reframe it? How can I, think of it as, maybe they didn't mean it as bad, but that's just how I took it. Um,
Yeah.
or maybe their hurtful words, maybe they did mean it to try and hurt me, but why? Is it something within them that that's how they know how to deal with a situation? Or was it something in me that I just internalized it wrong? So I can control how I process a situation. And there's a
Right.
lot of things within my book with different situations on how you process it. So the healing moment that's written in my book is just kind of processing that situation and what might happen. And then the last step of every chapter is healing steps. So it's walking through different things that you can do to help you heal, or to process that type of situation. And you can take those steps and use it in any different area of your life. So the healing steps that I put in here, it's different situations that I went through while I was married or through my divorce, and how I process things, and what those healing steps are, or the healing moments, to how you process it and deal with it or reframe it within your life. And then different steps that I did after my divorce to try to heal myself and to let go of past, to let go of the baggage, to go through forgiveness, to go through self-love. All of those different things that really helped me to get to where I wanted to be and to be able to see the life that I wanted to create, to be able to see how to move forward and how to process better in my life. So it's different tools.
I really liked what you said about reframing,
Yeah.
because I think once we take the time to get to know ourselves and maybe look back on something that we took the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
or we spoke it and it came out the wrong way, we can actually, like you said, reflect on that and say, okay, um, I've had a conversation with him. This is not what he meant. Why did I take it as, something negative? And so then you can go through your process and say, well, it's because maybe at that time I was feeling unworthy or whatever. And then you can reframe it or re-videotape, go backwards
Mm-hmm.
and then go forwards and
Yes.
try to reframe it. And then you've learned from it, and then your relationship then can heal. So I
Yeah.
really appreciated that part. That was wonderful.
And that's one of the things that I love working with my clients is the mental rehearsal.
Mm,
So, you know, as an athlete, not that I was particularly an athlete, but my kids have been, so I can kind of say something
there
there.
you
So as an athlete, the mental game is one of the biggest things is, sometimes you have the skill, you have the strength, you have the coordination, you can do it all, but sometimes it's your mind that stops you from achieving what you want to achieve. Mental rehearsal in your everyday life can be very powerful. So whether it is, okay, I need to have a difficult conversation with somebody and I struggle with what I need to say. I'm somebody who's a processor. So I like
go.
to try and process the situation or, to kind of analyze things that have happened. If I know I'm going to have a difficult conversation with somebody, or maybe my husband and I, we got in an argument or something, and I want to talk through it more, I will go through and do kind of a mental rehearsal of what I want to say in that conversation.
Mhm.
And if I know the person well enough, sometimes I can say, I know they're going to respond this way. So then how will I respond to that? So to be able to mentally go through what you see that conversation being and how you want to respond, that can make a huge difference in that situation. And even if it is to setting your intention of, I want this conversation to be peaceful and
Mm,
productive, and I want to come at this with love and not argumentative.
right.
There are a lot of different things that you can do within your conversation to be able to control it. Even if somebody starts to escalate, with their energy and they start to, and everything just really starts to, there are different things that you can do
Right.
to calm the situation and to be able to learn those tools and to do that mental rehearsal ahead of time. It's amazing. But even if you have a situation where, oh my gosh, I reacted, I was saying negative things to try to inspire, you can go back through and think about that situation. I, I, I will do this next time, and think of
Hmm.
how you will handle it the next time. And that brings that mental awareness to that type of situation to where you can kind of rewrite the script when it comes up next time. It'll trigger that mental rehearsal,
Hmm.
or that analyzing of the situation that happened and help you to respond better the next time. So a lot of it is the awareness and, just having that appreciation of yourself that, number one, I can forgive myself for acting the way that I did. But number two, when moving forward, I want to do it this way. So being able to, process your thoughts and feelings, and whether it's something in the past or prepping for something is going to come up. There's so many different tools that you can use that help to control you, which in turn can help to manage the relationship or the conversation to make it better for all. Sometimes our change that we do in ourselves, it's amazing how it can affect everyone around us and change things for the positive.
Yeah, and
So
you said, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no. I was just going to say, within this book, there are so many different things that I learned along the way that have become just tools that I use all the time.
Yes. Well, and I wanted to highlight another thing that you just said, because I sometimes I don't think people realize they have to forgive themselves. We are
Yes.
human, we make a lot of mistakes, and through some of my journeys, that's, asking forgiveness from God or from another person seems to be a lot easier and less time consuming when it was, okay, Anne, you need to forgive yourself for and
Yes. Yes.
it took so much more, like you say, time and processing and prayer, and but so important. I
Mm,
really I wanted to highlight that
yeah.
moment that you said, because that's amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And then there are some times that we take the responsibility um, that actually belongs to other people into ourselves. So, um, for example, I have two daughters, and I'm seeing them process through relationships, and um, there are times that I see them, well, I've hurt them so bad. I've done this or I've done that. I've caused them to react a certain way to me.
Mhm.
Um, which there are times that we take on other people's actions because, oh my gosh, because I did this or I said this, I caused them to react to me in a negative way. You can't take the responsibility of somebody else's actions. They choose to react how they react. You can forgive yourself if there was something that you said or did that escalated a situation or that made you feel, um, just not doing things out of love, but, you know, um, out of frustration or bitterness. Those things you work on for yourself, but the way that somebody reacted or treated you, that's them.
Mhm.
And I worked at a domestic violence shelter. I worked there part-time for a while, and I volunteered there off and on over the years. And hearing so many women say, they've been in abusive relationships in some way, shape, or form. And I've heard so many women say, well, if I had not acted that way, or if I had not said that, he wouldn't have hit me, or he wouldn't have done this, or, and you can't take that on yourself with the way that they react to you or the way that somebody else reacts to you. And this can go beyond like an abusive situation. I mean, this is any situation. Maybe it's with a boss or a coworker, or you know somebody that you see briefly on the street and they just come at you and want to attack you. It You can't take the responsibility for other people's actions and the way that they react to you. So it's finding what it is within yourself that you could forgive and release so that those patterns don't continue to build for you. But yes, we can't take, we have to figure out where to divide that, where the
Mhm.
responsibility is not ours to take. So,
Yeah, and I think we sometimes take that on just whether if it's your children because you're one of the parents, or like you said, well, if I only would have,
yes.
and sometimes with sexual trauma, it's the same thing. Well, if I wouldn't have, and then you're blaming the whole trauma on you,
Mhm.
and you weren't the one that, instigated that.
Right.
So there's there's just so much intricate things, whether it's divorce or financial trauma or death or what have you. There's so many, like you said, these tools, they go across the whole gamut of mental health and overcoming.
Hmm.
And, that's awesome. And you also have a journal, right?
I do. I
A new
do.
book, a new book, a new journal book. Let's
A
see
new
that.
journal. So I
Oh, that's so
published this.
beautiful.
It was earlier this year I published this journal, and it can be something that you can start at any time. It's a 52-week journal, and within this journal you have the different weeks. There are different topics, and there's journal prompts, and
Nice.
it's something for you when you're going through a life transition. I called it new beginnings because new beginnings could be new chapters of your life in regards to empty nesting, or a new job, or when you have those moments like I did after my divorce. It was a new beginning. It was, um, starting over. So I designed this in a way that it can be, with different areas of your life, you can use it. And like I said, it's 52 weeks. You can start at any time. It's not necessarily labeled, January, February, anything like that. So you can start and work through it. And then also there's like weekly check-ins, and doing this to where one of the things that I've learned through my healing process, through many teachings and many, many different things, is um, you sometimes forget to see how far you've come. We get stuck in the thing of, I'm not there yet. I haven't made it there yet. I haven't done this. I still need to do this. I should have. And sometimes it is so important to look back on oh, 3 weeks ago. Oh my gosh, this is where I was. Look how far I have come. These are things that I have, processed through, and steps that I've made, to be able to celebrate the things that
Right.
you have accomplished, to celebrate those things that you have done, and to see how far you've come. That's why I love the journal, because, you can see the milestones in there to where you could say, I've come so far from when I started this. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
So
that's
that
so
was the
nice.
purpose of doing the journal, is, um, really just being able to move forward. I have the journal that I started with after going through my second divorce. So I started writing daily, and um, when you look at that journal, when I started, to even, a month or two after, it was just amazing to see everything that I went through with my process. And actually, that is where some of the things for my book, Heal First, Love Second, came from, because I saw the process and the patterns. So it was incredible to go back and look through where I had been, to be able to recognize how far I've come. And so that's where the journal came out of,
That's
just
awesome.
giving somebody a tool to be able to say, okay, yeah, this this has been amazing. This has
And
been good.
it's important to celebrate our wins, and
Hmm.
myself included. Sometimes you're like, okay, did good, and move on. And you
Uh-huh.
don't take the time to like
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Do that happy dance. Absolutely. I know. And
do a little
I
happy
love,
dance or something.
yes. I love when, taking those times just to be able to celebrate. And,
Yeah,
it,
it's
it's
important.
probably something to put on the calendar to remind yourself at least once a month. Okay. What are my wins? What are
That's
I,
right.
and that
I
during
like
my,
that idea. I like that
yes.
idea.
During coaching
That is
sessions, that's something
right.
we always want to look at is, so what do you have to celebrate this week?
That's
What
right.
what's been happening? And it
Oh, that's
just
so
helps you
good.
to have that positive outlook. It brings more positivity into your life. So yes,
I
set something
love
on your
it.
calendar once a month.
Once a month.
Celebrate
And I'm
me.
I'm gonna do that, Samantha.
Celebrate me. Yes. Good, good, good.
Now, where do they find your books at?
You can find them on Amazon.
Okay.
So you can find them on Amazon, or if you go to my website, you can also purchase them on my website
Oh,
at
okay.
healfirstcoaching.com. I do have them there,
Healfirstcoaching.com. Okay.
but if you are one that uses Amazon and you have Prime and like the free shipping and stuff, then you can definitely find them on Amazon as well.
Wonderful. Well, Samantha, the time goes so quick, and I think it's because
Yes.
I just enjoy spending time with you. You have such a neat persona. It's a joy to be with you. And I always learn something when we get together, whether we're together in Indianapolis or here on a Zoom. So
Yeah.
I just appreciate you so much.
Yes, I love how we've gotten connected, and it's just like you said, spending time with um the good people, man, it can really uplift you and inspire you to do
Yes,
new and creative things. And we learn from each other, and it's such a beautiful process. Just
it
beautiful.
is. It
So
is.
thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem. And when your next book comes out, we will do another one. Or, keep me posted. I will check out your website. I am following you on Facebook, which is at Samantha Tishner. So if you'd like to
Hmm.
follow Samantha, there you go.
Sounds
Well, have a
great.
great day. Thank you so much again for spending your time with us. I know your time is valuable, um, but I came away with value, and I'm sure all the listeners and people who check out the video will as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I have enjoyed sharing my time with you.
Thank you, Samantha.